Hey, Deadlighters.
Hey, Deadheads.
I like that.
All right,
I like
cool.
Deadheads.
What up, Deadheads? It's Sam.
It's Leslie.
Let's start over. What up, Deadheads? It's Sam.
It's Leslie. And we have good news.
Really good news. We're doing a live event
We are.
at Hex Coffee in Chicago, Illinois.
It's going to be a horror trivia night, y'all.
Hosted by me and Leslie.
Yeah, the people who are here.
The people that host this show are going to be hosting those. So please, if you are in Chicago and you like trivia and you like coffee, come on by.
Yeah, there's also beer and food.
Friday, March 31st, 7 p.m. Hex Coffee.
See you there.
Cool. That works.
Nice.
I'm sure I can take one of those. Yeah.
Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. Live, dead, lives.
Welcome to the ASMR version of the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, ASMR Sam.
And I am ASMR Leslie, bringing you your ASMR weekly episodes, everybody. I keep bumping into this.
With
damn
horror,
episode.
with horror involved.
With horror.
Definitely. And
Horror.
this movie specifically got us in the ASMR mood, I guess.
Yeah, there's lots of whispers and moaning and grunts and
Soft touches.
soft touches.
Sexual things.
Sexual healing, yeah.
And
It's
what
good for me.
do we just watch?
What do we want?
It Follows from 2015, written and directed by David Robert Mitchell. A young woman is followed by an unknown supernatural force after a sexual encounter. Sounds like my Friday night. But
Damn.
So we
But-
had actually both seen this movie before.
Mhm.
This viewing, which I was actually excited to watch this one again because this one, for some reason, is a kind of a chapter marker in my mind of like when people started taking horror seriously again for some
Yeah.
reason, or like the mainstream at least, because this is a different kind of horror movie
It is.
and it's
Yeah.
more of an one of these artsy. I think people call it elevated horror movies.
That is so
whatever that
funny.
means.
That is hilarious. Because, yes, it has those campy kind of tropes. You can see through the styles of it how it took from Halloween and Friday the 13th and all of these really great movies that has this kind of character or killer following you around, you know? And there's themes of sex and themes of friendship and like we're young and we're just, you know, living free.
Yes.
But with all of that in mind, it works.
Mhm.
It's pretty. The concept is well thought out, and yeah,
One of my notes was that they picked the concept and then everything else went to service that. Everything, like every single category that we're going to talk about, I think directly goes back to the concept that they're trying to talk about and trying to explore, which I think is great. They fully commit to the ideas that they're trying to explore in this film. And so I thought, I didn't even tell you about this. I thought maybe today we switch it up a little bit. Instead of starting
Ooh.
with the can, let's start with the meat.
Oh Lord,
Because we can talk about...
there's a lot of meat.
There's a
in
lot
the
of meat.
movie. Am I right?
I think this movie is mostly about the meat and what it's trying to say. And it revolves around sex. And I think that it's interesting that you brought up how it does follow a very typical 80s slasher trope. And then something that is also in 80s slasher movies is a bunch of sex. Like you're going to
Yeah.
get blood and boobs no matter what. And then this movie kind of takes that concept of sex and then makes that the horror of the movie. Instead of it being like an attractive chick just running around with her top off, the sex part of this movie becomes the scary part and the
yeah.
thing that we fear and the
Mhm.
thing that everyone fears. And that goes back to, I think, what they're talking about, which all these characters that we're following are at this kind of transition point in their lives of either going to college, going from child to adult, and kind of navigating the mysteries around sex and
Yeah.
around sexual encounters. And that is a scary thing in real life.
Back when we used to scare kids, you know, when we would talk to them about sex, is all of these things that can happen to you if you go around sleeping with everybody or you're not protected. So yeah, like there's this theme too of like you don't want to have sex with someone that you love because you don't want to pass this thing to them.
Mhm.
So you have sex with like the most far removed person that you can think about.
Even like a sex worker at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Go as far as that.
Or some dudes in a fucking yacht
Yeah.
or whatever.
Anyone. But I think that is an interesting concept because once you have this thing that is starting to follow you, you're right. You don't want to give it to someone that you actually care about.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that then determine the rest of your life? It changes the rest of your life. And I think that that is a fear that is, you know, somewhat rightfully planted in adolescent's head of there are lifelong consequences to your actions. And especially when it comes to sex, if you get an STD, it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And it's going to change you for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And that pretty much is where we end the movie too. We start the movie knowing that. And then the movie pretty much the entire time is just driving home that fact. And at the end, that's where they leave us.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's unchanged. Which I find that kind of interesting about the film, that it is circular in that way, but is it satisfying at the end? I think that that's what I'm still struggling with, is if it is a satisfying ending.
Well, the ending is our main character ends up with her childhood, you know, best friend and crush. Like, he is willing to date her knowing that she has this thing that's always gonna, well, this thing both of them are now going to be followed for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, there's something sweet about that, you know. When it comes to actual STDs, that's not how it works.
No.
You know, it's not 100% that you will get anything that other person might have. So, but yeah, is it satisfying? I don't know. They're so young. It's sad. You know, it's sad that
it's very hopeless ending, but also sweet because they're in this together kind of thing.
But what if it doesn't work out?
Exactly. You know? That's what I think too, and that's where more of the hopelessness kind of comes, because yeah, I mean, they're young still. He's still, I think, in high school. She's just starting college. Life is long. So, but it sets them on a trajectory. This thing that was passed on to them, which, by the way, wasn't even her fault. She was actually into the guy that passed this thing on to her. And it wasn't even her fault that this thing came into her life. But it changes it despite that. Changes it forever despite that. And all the people around her too. So it is a very hopeless kind of entire picture of it. Which I think that's what is kind of tripping me up in that ending is, man, super downer.
It is, because if we just keep seeing this as what it's trying to say about STDs, is that there's going to be some people that it's going to kill them a lot faster than you, the person that spread it to them, you know? And that must be really hard to, see and acknowledge, even if, let's say, you do end up living your full life, but with this disease, you still have the like mentality, or at least the knowledge that you have seen so many of your friends, so many of your ex-lovers just pass on
because of
just,
the thing you gave them.
Yeah. And you just, at the end of the day, just gotta be safe, Yes, sex is fun and you should definitely go and have fun, but just like at least be just conscious.
Be conscious, be aware also too of who you're sleeping with,
Mm-hmm.
and be safe about it.
Because if it's not STDs that you're spreading heartache, and that's not good either.
That's true.
That sucks.
Yeah, fair. Emotional
Yeah.
pain.
Emotional pain sucks.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I guess the question that we're kind of left with is this demon defeated by a condom? If they all would have just wrapped it up like they were told, did this demon just skip that person?
I think it's the opposite.
If they use a condom, the demon's like, I'm coming after you.
Not the opposite, but no condoms allowed here.
No condoms allowed.
No. I'm gonna say another perspective.
Okay.
What if it got defeated by an orgy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The whole world gets together and has sex with everyone.
It'd be so confused. It'd be like,
who do I go to now?
I'm so horny.
Ah!
Yep, I think you're right. And they didn't try either of those.
No,
they didn't wear condoms and they didn't do an orgy. So
although there were some love triangles going on,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everybody's just like, well, okay, whatever, and just look the other way. But no, what if what happens with an orgy?
I know. They didn't try it.
Definitely, the STDs does spread around
within that group for sure.
So now does it just go to the first one to spread it anyway, and then just kill everybody else?
I'm assuming, it just kind of be ping ponging from all the people, and you don't really know when it's gonna come for you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of adding to the mystery.
Scarier, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, so maybe orgy isn't the greatest plan, but they didn't even try it. They didn't even try it. Yeah.
No.
All right. How about we go back to the can now, huh?
The can?
Yeah. Let's talk about how this film was actually made. And we kind of already said it. It's a very pretty film.
It is.
The colors and the lighting, and the costume choices too, the actual cinematography of how some of these shots were framed was very pretty. And then actually adding to the horror elements, I loved the amount of camera movements that we had. We had these very long takes of either the camera zooming in slowly on a person or moving around a space, and revealing more information. We sometimes saw it following them in the back of shots and they weren't even aware of it. And it just added to that level of it's coming for you. It's always slowly coming after you. And the cinematography was just selling that as well.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Well, what is it when it's the landscape kind of shots? It worked so well for this movie. And like you mentioned, I love when directors or in the script, whoever decides to have those kind of details and informations be in the background and we're focused purely on the foreground, and you're seeing this kind of action happen and it's elongated and you're just oh my god, run. Or just being what the fuck is that? I love that. I love when TV does that. I love when movies do that. I love when cartoons do that. And that's something that you get a lot in BoJack Horseman. It's lots of jokes are on the background that, you know, if you don't pay attention, you'll miss. So I love the usage of that for this. And I mean, it is shot in such a way where like the colors were a little heightened, but not too saturated.
Mm-hmm.
Saturated.
You didn't know we were producers too, did you?
But it's still kind of a little bleak.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Um,
There were specific colors that they would highlight, and it kind of
red.
changed, I thought, throughout the movie. Like at the beginning, she was in a lot of pinks. Between there was like pink lighting in her room, and then her underwear was pink, which to me kind of symbolized her like as more of a girl, you know,
Yeah,
younger.
her youth, you know, like she was still healthy.
Yeah. And then it transitioned to red, those more deep reds, and between her swimsuit and also her fingernails. Yeah. And then at the end, she was in black, which was kind of, to me, like a symbolization of death in some way, of her accepting
Whatever fate.
fate, is about to come. And that was right in the last big scene.
There's a lot of white, lots of white colors on people, whether it's the actual demon thing that's coming towards them, or it's the actual person, you know, because they're about to die. Oh, interesting thought. Because in the beginning, and this is like a shot that I really liked, and it reminded me of Halloween, where it enters the street in which our characters live in, and there is this kind of just 80s aspect that we started seeing a lot in things of just like your neighborhood, your friends, your family. That's who shapes you. And so we have just like this scan of this girl just booking it out of her house. She is in white, in her like sleeping undergarments, and she's wearing red heels. And she is just twirling around her neighborhood. People are asking her if she's okay. Her dad comes out concerned, and then she ends up just driving away, and she secludes herself, and her dad calls her, and they have this really intimate just like conversation. She's just like, I love you, I'm sorry that I've been, you know, a teenager, but I love you so much. And then it kills her, and then it's the next scene, you know, like
that's I thought that was such a great introduction for the film, because it set not only the danger of the killer, because we see what happens to her and it looks pretty fucked up, but also it sets the mood and kind of some of the motifs and the aesthetic things that we're going to see through the whole movies, because it starts with that long shot of just panning all around, and we don't cut from there, and it has that undertone droning going on and the synthy 80s music happening, and that continues through the entire film, and they just commit to this aesthetic the entire film. And from this first 5 minutes, we know we're set up with the aesthetic and we're set up with the danger, and I think it's a perfect way to start the film. I'm like automatically intrigued by oh god,
especially because like she secluded herself on the beach, you know, somewhere probably that she loved, a place she loved. And then we pan to a shot in which the hood, the doors of the car are open, and they're emitting red. And
her headlights are on, so
her headlights
really
are on.
bright.
Yeah, everything is on, and we hear her talking to her dad and just having a quiver, and in this quickness to her speech. It picks up, and something's going on. We can't see it, and it gets her.
It does. And they use those landscape shots so well. I wrote down they're the Where's Waldo shots, because
Yeah.
we as the audience are looking. I was like trying to look
Yeah.
between all those trees, and there was multiple wide shots where it was just wide shots of a landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anything was there, but I was definitely searching for it. So it just adds to that anxiety of like, is it out there?
Mm-hmm.
And when is it going to come?
Who is it?
Who is it? What's it going to look like?
Yeah.
It was, and so they threw that landscape shot in the beginning too, which we go back to multiple times. So yeah, it was just a really just nice way to
Mm-hmm.
start it off.
Yeah.
I loved it. And the only thing that I will kind of harp on
Mm-hmm.
in the can, some of the acting.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was some, just honestly, they got across the information I think that they wanted to get across, but some of the performance just kind of felt flat.
Yeah.
Where there just wasn't much behind them and they didn't feel that natural.
Yeah. We're not gonna name names, but yeah, there was some things, and not. I mean, there was a naturalness to how, like, what do I want to say? Like, this is a small town,
Mhm.
so everybody had a small townness to them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some of it came across flat, like monotone,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like either didn't add anything, or you're left like, okay, I can interpret that in a couple of ways, and I don't know what,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I thought the main actor was solid.
Mhm.
I thought she was good. So it was because we were following her the whole time. So it was good that she was solid.
Are we? Are we it?
Are we it? We are
You're it.
I'm it. All right.
You're it.
I'm coming for you.
No,
And
no.
you.
No.
No. I thought she was pretty good.
Mhm.
There was some, the people around her I think were kind of in and out.
Yeah.
But that's okay because
Meh.
she seemed horrified.
Yeah.
That scene actually, that when she first realizes, when she gets it passed to her and she's in that wheelchair and the camera is like in front of her, like it's definitely attached to the wheelchair in some way that moves with her,
Yes.
and like her performance I thought in that scene was like really good.
Yeah.
She was horrified, like she was confused and
She's
scared.
coming out of being drugged, and I thought the pace of that scene from beginning to end was well acted, written, shot. Everything about it was pretty great.
And I thought he was pretty good too.
He was pretty good.
He
as
was
well.
only in a couple scenes in the beginning and then he comes back a little later. He was another one of the ones where I felt like it was more natural.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was solid.
I agree. And I like that, I mean, if they just had to pick one character that they needed to make sure was a great actor, was our main, and it aligned to also like this other person needs to be a strong character too, because he needs to admit fear also, and that can come across really cheaply,
Mm-hmm.
but no, like he did pretty good.
He needs to, because it's a crazy reveal, because he does manipulate her into sleeping with him so he can pass it on to her, but there also is this sense that he's not, it's not malicious. He's actually like you said, really, really scared of this thing getting to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this weird, like you feel for him, but you also don't like that he drugged her, and like used her to get rid of this thing. So, and then that is what she's forced to do too through the rest of the movie. So it's this like weird, confusing line that all these like ethical line that all these characters have to toe when trying to face it.
because they themselves haven't truly gone through all the stages of grief, or they haven't fully embraced the fact that now they are in danger, you know, and they don't know how much time they have. So,
scary.
I mean, and we're still human. We're still gonna want to like fuck someone.
Yeah.
But
what
like,
are they not
how
going to do?
do you? How do you fuck someone, or how do you get with someone that you know there's a dangers of you passing something on to them?
Yeah.
That's uncurable.
Can't get rid of it.
Death.
Like death. Like it. So how about we get to the cook? You know, taking those things, because I want to start out with those things because I feel like those are really the most important things of this film, is what it's saying and how it's made. How did they bring it together? How did they cook this thing? I mean, I think that, like I said before, this whole movie is going back to servicing what they're talking about, which is this fear around having sex and what the consequences could be. Even how this movie was paced, you know, it was very slow moving. The scenes, even the dialogue scenes, were slow and quiet. The shots were long. The music was also very slow and very droning. So there was this very slow pace that they had through the whole thing. And I think that was just to go back to the creature that is following you. It is slow, but it is coming for you. Coming.
And you don't know how it looks like.
No. There's so many of those shots of just like them on the road, and it's just moving towards something. It's clearly on a car, but it is. But it just just going back to the sense of moving forward, moving for you because of.
And it won't stop. It won't stop.
It will not stop.
I thought they chose a kind of villain and how it was gonna do it, because it really truly aligns with, I mean, we just keep repeating this in different ways, but just like how the STDs are in true life. It gets some a lot faster than the others. So I thought it was really well thought out. And although some of the acting was questionable, the script was well written, I thought. And they said stuff and at least acted very much of their age. So for them to come across that way made us feel really bad for them. But also you don't want them to die, so you want them to pass it on.
Yeah, you're kind of like, so at a certain point, fuck. Sorry, you gotta fook someone.
Damn.
Yeah.
You gotta fook someone.
You gotta fook. And then taking that concept that you just talked about and putting it in this just 80s slasher form, where you have this force that is always walking towards you, this Michael Myers, this Jason Voorhees. It's always going to get up and keep coming towards you. And they establish us multiple times throughout the movie. They shoot it, they electrocute or try to electrocute it, they hit it. It's always going to get back up. It's always going to keep going towards you. And that's very much, like you said, reminiscent of those classic slasher films. The idea, I guess the way they executed it wasn't that complicated because it's a form that we've seen before, but the thought that went into it and what's underneath the concept that they're playing with really just kind of made that form that we've seen before seem new and bring kind of a new spin to it. And I think the cook of it was really nice.
Also, like, I think the symbolism of them shooting it and always coming back is, I guess, something that you can also interpret as abstinence. So even if you do end up getting STDs and you don't have sex with people, it's still going to potentially kill you regardless. So might as well, I mean, this is easier said than done, but like enjoy what you have. And if someone is going to be there with you and loving you, don't push them away. At least you'll have someone to kind of lean in. And I think that's what happens at the end. Paul knows the repercussion. He knows what's going to happen. He goes and has sex with a sex worker because they will be safe, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, quote unquote, they'll
Yeah.
have sex with another person and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe because they're quote unquote at risk for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But they
So-
have each other.
they have each other.
Yeah.
They'll know what they're going through
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of sweet in a kind of gross way.
in a very, very sad, bleak way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I will say,
Gross way.
I'm sorry, Paul, but that pool plan, whatever you thought that was that was an awful plan to put up. I think his plan was, we'll put all these electrical appliances around the pool, and then we'll put her in the pool to get it in the pool, and then we'll push all these appliances in, right?
Mhm.
That's how you took it?
Yep.
Um,
no, yeah, absolutely.
That was the plan, right? Which
But there's some things that are
it's just like, obviously the thing was going to pick up one of the electronics and start shucking it. The guy said it's not dumb. It can move the physical world. Like, it can break through doors. It can pick up her hair. It can manipulate our world. And they knew that at this point. This is like their last plan.
Yeah, this is a really stupid plan.
So bad. And they're like, electricity will do it.
No. First of all, you have a typewriter in there. How is that gonna kill you?
I'm
Besides it
sorry,
being
Paul.
chucked at you.
And it was smart, way smarter than fucking Paul and these goons.
Paul also shot his friend on the leg.
Oh, it was just.
And they were all just standing around, and he's like shooting at nothing, essentially. He's like,
Oh,
"Where,
man.
here? Your friend? You want me to shoot our friend?"
Ooh.
Okay. Ooh,
Oh.
sorry. No, he didn't even say sorry, that motherfucker.
He didn't.
No?
He didn't.
Not at all.
He didn't even say sorry. Where is it?
Where is it?
And then he continued to shoot in the water, like right past the main character's head. I'm like, dude, you're about to kill both your girlfriend and not it, because it can't die. So
Well, what happened there?
with the blood,
Mm-hmm.
that to me, that whole plan was
Your
just
veins?
with like the water, like it.
Yeah.
Oh, it filling. I don't know. It's just
It
really
represented, to me, what it represented is that the STD is not on the outside. It's not something that you can just like fucking shave off or burn it. It's inside. It's in your veins. So like all the blood just filling the whole screen indicated how it spreads through your whole body.
You can't get rid of that shit.
I mean, we have medicine now
Well, yes.
that I personally have been making with the Europeans.
Yep. Not for demon STDs, though. It's not for spooky STDs, as far as I know.
For demon STDs. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
That's why they recruited me.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Well, you know something about me. I'm, what is it called when you make medicine?
A pharmacist? No, that's
No,
sorting
the pharmacist
medicine.
is the one that like
They fill up the pill bottle. I don't know, an alchemist or something. That's like that's like magic.
I knew somebody that was studying
Like biochemistry, bioengineer,
bio something.
Write in if you know
Yeah,
what we're talking about,
please.
because we don't know what we're
We
talking about.
We don't know anything.
Well, and then that whole plan really was just to drive home the fact that they can't kill it. Like, and to me, I felt like I knew that at that point in the movie, and maybe they didn't even need that whole weird plan that they went. I think the movie was trying to have like a big set piece at the end of the film to, end it on a big note, have this big grand plan that kind of just then confirms that they can't kill it and they have to just live with it. But to me, it was just kind of like,
Well, if we're talking about paying homage to like 80s horror films,
Yeah.
There's always, bodies of water in which our main characters have to go into because sexy time. Or, like it shows them being vulnerable or something like that. So we had to have one of those shots. There's multiple movies in which, pools are
fair. Or like a lake.
A lake.
Yeah, let's go skinny dipping.
Yeah, let's go skinny dipping. Another movie in which a pool is one of the set pieces is in Jennifer's Body.
Yeah.
Jennifer's Body. I couldn't remember the title.
You nailed it.
But yeah.
Yep.
Oh God. Pools just make you slow. We're not fish, So like anytime there's a body of water, I'm like, here we go. Here we go. How are we gonna die? How are we gonna die?
How are we gonna die?
Ugh.
Well, they narrowly made it out of that one, Paul.
It burned her skin.
Yeah, it hurt her skin. They shot her. One of the friends got shot. Who, by the way, that friend who was essentially just reading the whole time and just kind of coming in with just like existential quotes, like when the movie needed it.
Yeah.
I was like, do we need her here?
You could have done something way smarter. Like, write her a little smarter.
She just read quotes and got shot.
She just ate and always read.
Yeah, and slept.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of like, I don't know if her character was fully necessary.
But her little Kindle or whatever that little
shell thing.
It was cute.
That was
I liked
cool.
it. I was like, oh wow, is this real?
I don't know. It kind of seemed like a little future-y, which was kind of strange because the whole movie was riding on this line of like 80s, but also we had like future technology like that. Like they had landlines and old cars, but they had cool flip shell things.
It seems like she was the only characters whose parents actually like cared about her.
That's my other question is like, where the fuck are all the parents in this movie?
They're on drugs or working or...
Because these kids are like driving and staying in like abandoned houses and stuff
and
overnight.
Multiple of them are like, oh yeah, she won't wake up, or oh yeah, my parents won't care.
Yeah. And there was a couple scenes of we saw parents like passed out.
Yeah.
So that was definitely, I think, a point that they threw in there, not necessarily to like flesh out, but that was a point of these characters. And I think that kind of, because being set in Detroit, I think was a big part of this movie too. We're not from Detroit, but I think if we were, we would recognize more things in this movie. Because that seemed like a big part of it, of where they grew up and in this community, and them all going through the same experience of absent parents that are working all the time. That seemed very personal of the filmmaker to put in there.
I mean, I grew up in a really tiny town, very tiny. So I saw a lot of themes of just like, I mean, my parents both of them had to work. So we would arrive from school and had to start taking care of ourselves and cooking, doing our homework. So not that they were absent at all, but I witnessed other people's parents being absent, and they were able to, like, they were already having sex during high school, and all of these kind of more grown-up kind of quote-unquote things that their parents weren't quite there to kind of educate them. I mean, we had two characters whose parents talked to them in middle school, it seems like, or elementary school about sex, and they didn't think much about it. It didn't seem like they did a good job to like fully educate them. But yeah, they were more concerned about where they went in the borders of the town than who they're spending time with and who are they having sex with.
How about the thrill? What actually makes this movie scary?
Yeah. Well, the theme of it, what it's trying to say, in itself, STDs is pretty darn fucking scary. For a while, we didn't have any medicine to treat any of the like HIV and stuff like that. It felt permanent. Like that is it. You have written
It's like
your
a death sentence.
wish
Yeah.
or death sentence, and how do you move on past that? You know, like it would take you some time to just fully accept that you are gonna die, and slowly and painfully. It is such a brutal, and it's all just because you have this freedom and you just want to go and live your life the way you want to, but there's just always this thing that's always going to be following you.
And this was an experience that so many people had for such a long time. And you're right, it isn't until like recent that I feel like things have gotten to a point where there is hope for things like AIDS and HIV. But for so long, you got that and you're done. It was just like, that's it. It is going to come at some point.
It was an epidemic for, such a long time in which people didn't know where it was coming from, and they were just blaming the gays and the LGBTQ community because society have always been afraid of that community because they're more sexually liberated, and like, yes, things can spread out faster within the community, but it's not the reason why it's here, and there's this resurgence of something very similar that happened a year, 2 years ago now, the monkeypox, in which, again, it's something that people discovered that probably was sexually transmitted. And, who's spreading it? The LGBTQ community. What?
Because it's always easy to go back.
To them.
Yeah.
Like, what?
On a community that's already been persecuted for that reason. So that's just an easy blame.
Yeah. And did you know that gay people can't donate their blood? I didn't know that until recently.
Because of AIDS. And HIV. Yeah. Still. Yeah.
Anybody can have it.
Right. Yeah.
As we saw in this movie.
Anyone. And by the way, all the people that we see in this movie are heterosexual.
Yeah.
So.
And, okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, because there was a point in which it became a boy, and it started going for Greg. Was that
Greg?
his name?
I think you're right.
Greg?
Yep.
It was
the
a boy.
neighbor that took the bullet.
Took the bullet, and he wasn't afraid.
Yep.
And it was a boy. And then when our main character, Annie, comes into his house, discovered his mom outside. And she was like, hello. And then he opens the door, and she attacks him and has sex.
Very sexual, but killing manner. Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff oozing out. A lot of stuff oozing out.
Yeah.
But and then it became a boy again.
Right.
And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Because like all the other times it didn't turn into someone else when it like started touching Annie.
No. Yeah, that was a choice. So it's like, all right, we're willing to show some sort of like incestual thing, but any homosexual thing would
Absolutely
be
not. No.
can't do that.
Nope.
Yeah,
But
it was a weird switch.
It was a really weird switch, especially because they decided to have that boy that first came into the house start following her as
Mhm.
she drove off. And I was like, no, just keep her as the mom.
Yeah.
If you wanted to switch it, let's just but I don't know, maybe I was thinking that maybe the producers or someone in charge of releasing this movie decided like, hey, either we don't want a homo we don't want a homo. We don't want a gay scene because A, it might hurt the community. It's like saying that, you know, they're the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Or B, we just plainly do not want a gay scene.
Yeah.
And it could be both.
Could be both.
Why not?
Yeah. For sure.
Hollywood.
Yeah, I was just like, well, why not just make it the mom
From the beginning.
Because that is really creepy.
Because it would have been more suspicious, you know, of the mom just walking and then like walking past the street and then trying to get into her own home.
Because we wouldn't know who that is as the audience until he opens the door and is like, what is it, Mom? And then we'd be like, oh. Yeah.
And she was dressed in a white robe, partially nude.
Boob
just
hanging
a
out.
boob hanging out.
Mom.
Ah! But the thrill, yes.
The thrill.
Scary.
Yes.
I think it used a lot of the like shots of coming in or out. The really tall dude that they used for those door images was creepy. That's the one that really terrified me, and I believe it was on the trailer or they used it in some form because I had a recall. I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's true.
That's just like a great moment because it's a fake out at first, and then he comes out of the shadows in the background, and he just fills the frame as he comes out. It's creepy, and you only see it for like a second, but it works. And I think that again, kind of going back to this 80s slasher thing, like the slow walk is kind of what adds to the thrill of it, because yeah, you can just run away, you can drive away from it, but it's always going to be walking towards you, and that's such a Michael Myers thing.
No one else can see
it. Yeah, the powers that it has, where it can manipulate the physical world, but if you don't have it, you can't see it. And then that adds to moments of suspense, because we have multiple scenes where they're moving through spaces, and we as the audience are pretty sure that thing in the background is it, and it's walking towards them, but they never notice it or acknowledge it in the scene. And you're like, oh my god, like what if it got them at that point and they didn't even see it coming?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they're really well aware of the color usage that they're using throughout the film with the clothes, because in the end of the scene we have our main characters holding hands, walking around, kind of still not fully recovered, but kind of also having some hope, you know, in their found love. And we see in the background, in between them, this person dressed in white, in which we've seen our monster, our it person, wearing multiple times. But it has a jacket on.
Mm-hmm.
But
is that it? Is it a person? I know. And that's the question that they've got to be asking now for the rest of their lives.
Is that person it?
Is that person it?
Is that one?
Because it could be someone you know. It could be a complete stranger. Every room you enter now.
Every room you enter.
Every breath you take. And how about finally we just get to the whole ride? The ride of the overall film.
Nice.
I think, like I've said multiple times, everything that they were doing was servicing the concepts that they were trying to explore, which I do love. I think at a certain point, the very slow pace of it for me kind of got a little too slow. I think that they needed to pick it up and maybe that's what they were trying to do in the final part with like the pool scene. I just think that the pace at a certain point for like the last third just got a little too slow for me.
That's when it has to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I expect it to pick up,
it needs to happen.
It needs to happen. I expect it, so it needs to
for
happen.
our future films.
But yeah, I think that I know that they were trying to keep the aesthetic the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But it just got a tiny bit slow for me in the end. I just wanted a little bit more of a whoop to end it. A whip to end it.
By the time that the friends were able to see at least what it was doing to Annie, and that it was actually real, that's when it needed to just, and let's pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And let's pick up.
Because everyone's in.
Everyone's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Greg, and that's why he died.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I totally agree with you. But I still love the pace of it.
Yeah.
Of, like I mentioned, time and time again, things are getting faster, and sometimes we do need to just slow down.
Yeah.
Just dig it down a little bit. Use, an appropriate time where you can slow things down or pick it up, and still kind of keep the same aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I absolutely love that it's not truly all in your fucking face, and we can take a moment and have things in the background and the foreground and still deliver what you're trying to say.
Yeah, because it was the entire time committed to that aesthetic of it, and it gave us, like I said before, very pretty shots to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't boring at all. So
no,
yeah,
it was not boring. And I don't think it was too hyperly sexual, even though it was about sex.
That was the thing that we feared kind of the whole
Yeah.
time. It's like, that's what we were trying to avoid, is having sex.
And I mean, there were times where we saw titties, but we didn't see titties from our main characters who were having sex.
And every time we saw a titty, I was afraid of that person. I wasn't like, ooh, yeah, nice.
No,
It was very much of,
exactly.
get me away from that titty.
Oh, this titty is dangerous.
Dangerous titty.
This titty is dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Which
gonna
was
make pins about that.
We better.
This titty is dangerous.
Which I think is great, because they're taking that common kind of over sexualized slasher trope, and again, just flipping it on its head. It's a really smart way to do it. All right, so how about we just get to these smashed pumpkins? Let's smash it up and smash it down, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Do you want me to go, or do you want to go?
I tend to go first.
You do tend to
a
go
lot
first.
of the time. You go first.
All right, I'll smash it up first. I think that for me, it delivers on really everything that it sets forth in the first 10 minutes. Like, that first scene of the girl is just such a good way to start it off. And then they commit to that same style, that aesthetic, that mood through the whole thing, and that doom, through the doom that is coming, that is coming.
We didn't talk about the sound.
It's a drone, but it's also like dark synthy stuff going on. Play a clip, and we're back. And it just really adds, it's always there too, which goes back to the creature that we're talking about. It's always coming, it's always under everything, and it's always something you have to think about now. And so I think it, like I said, it delivers on all these facts. For me, I think personally, it just gets a little bit slow in the pace near the end. So I think I'm going to go 4. 4 out of 5 smashed pumpkins.
Yeah, and to add a little bit to that sound element of the movie, it also had this like the doom was underlayered, or maybe there was some nice, really kind of like hopeful sounds. I don't know exactly.
No, you're right.
I'm thinking of like fairy. I'm thinking David Lynch whenever we're looking at our beautiful blonde like
because
character.
they were using the synth. It's very 80s style music.
Synth.
Yeah,
That's
it's that
what it is.
synth
You just said it.
where we have the dark synth going on in those like very intense moments. But you're right, there was those other kind of like hopeful, almost some could be corny kind of sounds, but it worked because it was part of the aesthetic.
I think overall, for what it was trying to say, how they did it, I think these people knew what they were doing. And it comes across really well through everything. So I think it's pretty balanced. We talked about the little things like
Little
the
things here
acting,
and there,
and
yeah.
some things like the pace, and I don't know, some of the characters not well fleshed out. But overall, I'm gonna give it a 4.3.
4.3.
I thought aesthetically it looked really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I'm glad we got to watch it
Yeah.
because it's one of those movies that a lot of people really love this movie. And I think it's one that kind of crosses the boundary of going outside of horror fans too. This is a movie that I think a lot of people that aren't typically horror fans in my mind have recommended to me or
It
told me
touched
about.
everyone.
It touched everyone. It follows everyone.
Everyone. And now there's Smile with kind of the same concept of just like, you don't know who it is, but whoever's smiling at you is the monster, you know?
Don't smile.
And I love their advertising. I still haven't seen it
I've not seen it either.
because I kind of want to see it here first.
All right. All right.
But yeah, great movie.
Great movie. Yeah. Fun stuff. It follows.
Yeah,
Cool.
now I'm scared to have sex now, but you can
Yeah.
follow me on Color Me Leslie on Instagram.
Wow. Well, we also have to pick the next movie.
Oh, true. God, cut
Whoa,
this.
you're really
Cut
trying to
this.
get out of here. I'm done. I'm done.
I'm done.
It follows. I need to run away.
I'm seeing it right now.
Do you see that? Do you see that?
Do you see?
Do you yes, let's
My
pick a
bad,
movie. We are
sorry.
coming back next week, Leslie. So let's pick a movie for next week.
I don't know if I'll be alive.
I hope you will.
No, I
'cause-
will. I
Okay,
will.
good. I think you are.
I'm next.
I think you're up.
Cool.
Go for it. All right.
Is Smile on here? In here?
Did it make it? I'm not sure if it's in there yet because that's a newer one, and we're in the past right now. If you're listening to this, so
True.
we're like 10 weeks behind. So sorry if it's not new anymore.
Okay.
Oh, you got two.
Oh, you pick.
Okay.
Left or right?
Right.
My right or your right?
You're right.
My right.
Yes. All right. I hope we picked a good one.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh
The
Lord.
anticipation is crazy right now. Everyone's waiting.
A. A Carpathian village is haunted by the ghost of a murderous little girl, prompting a coroner and medical student to uncover her secrets while a witch attempts to protect the villagers.
Whoa. Wow. This sounds wild, and I have no idea.
I know, right?
Give me the year.
1966.
Ooh, going back to the 60s. I don't know. What is it?
It's called Kill Baby Kill.
Kill, baby, kill.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Let's go back
To the 60s.
to the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now we can do our tags.
We have witches. We have coroners. We have medical students. We have a little girl. We got ghosts.
We got it all, baby.
Wow, we have it all in the 60s.
Kill, baby, kill.
Kill, baby, kill.
Cool.
Nice.
Awesome. Let's get out of here.
Now this
Now-
is where I say my line. You can follow me on Instagram, Color Me Leslie.
And me at Beep Beep Richie T. And us at the Deadlights Pod.
Deadlights.
Also, check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this from.
Mm.
But until next time, let's get spooky.
Ooh.
Spooky.
And then take
Bed noises.